All right, we're on our last little section, and on Friday we did graphing inequalities, just one, and then we're going to do two today, and I'll show you how that works. I'm also going to show you how to use Desmos, so it makes it like 100 times easier. So remember, we didn't finish our notes, we just did 1 through 10, and then we'll pick up at number 11. I told you we were going to use the same notes, so it'll be before the last quiz you took. Did you find it yet? Sorry, guys. Okay, so we're going to start with the first equation, and it's just like we would before. The only difference is the dashed and the shading, okay? So make sure you remember that. So how do I graph just y equals 2? How do I graph just y equals 2? Anybody, Zoomers, everything. How do I graph y?
0 to 2.
And then what do I do, though? What kind of line is that?
A dotted line.
Is it solid or dashed? Remember, we look at this, and this one is actually solid. And why is it solid? Because it has a line. Remember, it's equal to, it's going to be solid. But what does this graph look like? I start at 2, but how do I move? Horizontal, very good. So it's a horizontal solid line at 2. This symbol says greater than. So where would I shade? Above or below the line? Greater than, above or below the line?
Above.
Above. Make it light today so that you can see it, but you just got to trust me. Make it light. Okay, so you guys can see that it's shaded, but I didn't overpower it. All right, how do I graph the next one? Where do we start? Guys, come on. Where do we start?
-3.
Thank you. -3. How do we move?
-5/1.
So I can go down 5 and over 1, or I need to go up 5 and over 1, which will be right here. Is this one solid or dashed?
Solid.
And then remember, we see if it goes through 0, 0, and we plug that in. Since it doesn't go through 0, 0, I'm going to take that equation or inequality, and I'm going to plug in 0, 0. If it's true, I shade on this side with 0, 0. If it's false, I shade on this side. Okay, what's -5 times 0? -3. Is 0 less than -3? It's false, so we don't shade 0, 0. So we actually shade this side. The point where both of those shades overlap, I'm going to make it super dark, is where your solutions are. Okay, we're going to do another one. And then I'm going to show you on Desmos, and this is going to be really quick. Okay, so if you all have your Chromebooks, guys, I would 100% use Desmos today. Okay, I don't think I told you on Friday, but you can. If you want to go back and take that quiz you didn't feel like you did well on, or you haven't taken it yet, you can go use Desmos. It's really, really easy. Okay, so look at this first one. Y is less than or equal to x minus 2. How do I graph it? Where do I start? -2. How do I move? What's our number with x? 1. How do I make it a fraction? So I move up 1 over 1. Is it solid or dashed? Solid, because it has an equal to. And then since the line doesn't go through 0, 0, we're going to check it. So my inequality is y is less than or equal to x minus 2. I'm going to plug in 0, 0. What is 0 minus 2? Is 0 less than or equal to negative 2? Correct. So it is false. So we shade the side without 0, 0. And I'm going to shade it lightly. How do I graph the next one? Start at 3. We move down 4 over 1, which is this point we already have, or down 4 over 1 here. Solid or dashed?
Solid.
So we're going to make it solid. It does not go through 0, 0, so we can plug that in. So we're going to do 0 is greater than or equal to negative 4 times 0 plus 3. What is negative 4 times 0 plus 3? Is 0 greater than or equal to 3? No. So we shade the side without 0, 0, which would be this one. And then the point where they overlap is going to be your final answer. All right. Any questions? We're going to do a couple more by hand, and then I'll show you Desmos. A couple more by hand. I definitely want to show you Desmos on 17 through 20, because those are the ones that are not y equals, so they'll be a little bit harder. All right, 13. How do I start this? Start at negative 1. How do I move?
Plus 4 over 1.
Up 4 over 1, or I can do down 4 over 1. Is this one solid or dashed? Dashed, because it's not equal to. And again, just make it however you want to, as long as I can tell it's dashed. It doesn't go through 0, 0, so we'll plug that in. Y is less than 4x minus 1. Plug in 0, 0. 4 times 0 minus 1. Is 0 less than negative 1? Nope. So we shade not the 0, 0 side. Shade away from 0, 0. How do I graph the second one? Start at 2, and how do I move? Up 1 over 1. Okay. Solid or dashed? I'm going to plug in 0, 0 because it doesn't go through it. What is 0 plus 2? 0 plus 2 is what? 2. Is 0 greater than 2? So we shade the side without 0, 0, which would be this one. Now this one's kind of crazy, but this little tiny spot up here is where your solution is. I'm going to jump down to number 16. Number 16. We'll come back to 14. Let's look at 16. How do I graph the first one? How do I move?
2. Negative
Okay. So you can either go up 2, left 3, or you can go down 2, right 3. Either way is perfectly fine. Okay. If you want to do it again, so it stretches across the graph, it'll look like that. Solid or dashed? Dashed. It didn't go through 0, 0, so we can plug that in. We're going to plug it into y is greater than negative 2/3 x plus 1. What is negative 2/3 times 0? Zero plus 1 is? Is 0 greater than 1? No. So we shade the side that doesn't have 0, 0. So this side. No 0, 0. How do I graph the second equation? Start at 3. How do I move?
down 2 up 3.
What kind of lines do I have right here? I do have parallel lines. This one is also dashed. And then I can also plug in 0, 0. So 0 is greater than negative 2/3 times 0 plus 3. Negative 2/3 times 0
0,
plus 3
3.
is 0 greater than 3. So don't shade 0, 0. Let me actually get this one right here. Sometimes they can be no solution where they're shaded on both outsides. Sometimes it'll shade in between it, and sometimes it overlaps like that. Just depends. All right. So I want you to get your Chromebooks out and have them open. I'm going to share my Desmos screen with you. And I want you to check this out. So I'm going to put in the one that I just did, okay? So we're going to type in here the one we just did, number 16. Now we have Y. And then we have greater than. If you guys look at the bottom of your keyboard next to your M key, if you do shift, comma, that's less than. Shift, period is greater than. So shift, period is greater than. We're doing negative 2/3. You'll start seeing some shade pop up. That's okay. X plus 1. That's the same graph that we just got. Does everybody see it? Then you go down to number 2, and you do the same thing. Y is greater than negative 2/3 x. Make sure you get out of that x plus 3. The only thing I don't like about Desmos is you can't really tell where all of it's shaded. So you just have to remember where it was shaded to begin with. Okay. It does a little bit different for other ones. Okay. Let's look at 14. Is everybody okay with this? This is literally all you do is type it in. So for your quiz, type it in. Okay. Desmos will get you 100 on your quiz like you wouldn't believe. Okay. So you just got to take the effort to do it. So let's do number 14. 14, y is less than 6x plus 3. And then your other one is y is, now we have less than or equal to. If you guys will go down here to show keyboard, it has your less than or equal to right here. So less than or equal to x minus 2. And then you guys can see that over here in the bottom right-hand corner, it overlaps itself. So that's where your answer should be. So what you'll have today for your quiz is multiple choice like you did on Friday. But what you need to be careful of is solid and dashed. It shows you which one's dashed, which one's solid, and then where it's shaded for both. Okay. So let's look at number 17. What's different about 17, 18, 19, and 20? What's different about 17, 18, 19, and 20?
They don't, they're equal signs.
Yeah, they're just not equal to y, right? So we don't have y equals. Well, this is where Desmos is really good to you because it doesn't matter, okay? So you're using Desmos on your final exam. You can get Desmos on your final exam. Y'all, these are easy questions that you should not miss on your final exam because you just type it in. So before, when we're doing it by hand, we have to solve by y. If we're putting it in our calculator, we got to solve to y. But on this one, we don't have to. You just type it in. 2x plus y greater than, greater than -1. And it'll do the work for you. You don't have to do it. Your quiz is going to be the same way, okay? Then your second one is 2x minus y is less than or equal to. I can't get that on my keyboard, so I got to go down here to less than or equal to. And -3. So what you'll see on your answer sheet is only that dark stuff up there, that dark triangle. That's all you'll see shaded. So again, what do you watch out for? Solid and dashed, and where that triangle is. That's it. Is everybody good? We're going to type another one in so you can see it. I'm going to do number 18. 18 said 4x plus y is less than -2. That one was easy. The other one is x minus y. I have to go to my keyboard so I can get a greater than or equal to, and then -3. So again, you can see both. You can tell which one's solid, which one's dashed. And then that triangle at the bottom is where you'll see your answer, where they're both shaded. Any questions? Y'all, it's literally that simple using Desmos. So make sure that you're using this when you do your quiz. If you didn't do well on Friday's quiz, go back and do it with Desmos, okay? I think you can get an extra chance. If you can't get a chance, let me know. I'll make sure that it's opened again. All right? Just type in there that you use Desmos. It's fine. We didn't think about, we weren't going to teach you guys how to use Desmos. We were going to make you do it by hand, but then there's no real point because again, you get Desmos on your final exam. So the little, like you guys have been, you've been doing your EOCs and there's that little calculator function at the top where you click the calculator and you can use it. That's what this is. Okay. So this, you'll see this on your final exam. So we want to incorporate this as much as possible. All right. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording.